Big friendly giant, she said. Last night, those man-eating brutes came to England. Can you remember where they went the night before? The BFG put a whole round sponge cake into his mouth and chewed it slowly while he thought about this question. Yes, Master, he said. I do think I is remembering where they said they was going the night before last. They was galloping off to Sweden for the Sweden sour taste. Fetch me the phone, the Queen commanded. Mr. Tibbs placed the instrument on the table. The Queen lifted the receiver. Get me the King of Sweden, she said. Good morning, the Queen said. Is everything all right in Sweden? Everything is terrible, the King of Sweden answered. There is a panic in the capital. 2 nights ago, 26 of my loyal subjects disappeared. My whole country is in a panic. Your 26 loyal subjects were all eaten by giants, the Queen said. Apparently, they like the taste of Swedes. Why do they like the taste of Swedes? The King asked. Because the Swedes of Sweden has a sweet and sour taste. So says the BFG, the Queen said. I don't know what you're talking about, the King said, growing testy. It's hardly a joking matter when one's loyal subjects are being eaten like popcorn. They've eaten mine as well, the Queen said. Who's they, for heaven's sake? The King asked. Giants, the Queen said. Look here, the King said. Are you feeling all right? It's been a rough morning, the Queen said. First I had a horrid nightmare, then the maid dropped my breakfast, and now I've got a giant on the piano. You need a doctor quick, cried the King. I'll be all right, the Queen said. I must go now. Thanks for your help. She replaced the receiver. Your BFG is right, the Queen said to Sophie. Those 9 man-eating brutes did go to Sweden. It's horrible, Sophie said. Please make them stop, Your Majesty. I'd like to make one more check before I call up the troops, the Queen said. Once more, she looked up at the BFG. He was eating donuts now, popping them into his mouth 10 at a time, like peas. Imagine donuts, except they're like Cheerios, except each Cheerio is a donut. Think hard, BFG, she said. Where did those horrid giants say they were galloping off to 3 nights ago? The BFG thought long and hard. Ho, ho, he cried at last. Yes, I was remembering. Where? Asked the Queen. One was off to Baghdad, the BFG said. That's in Iraq. They is galloping past my cave. As they is galloping past my cave, Flesh Lump Ether is waving his arms and shouting at me, I is off to Baghdad, and I is going to Baghdad and Mom and every one of their children as well. Once more the Queen lifted the receiver. Get me the Lord Mayor of Baghdad, she said. If they don't have a Lord Mayor, get me the next best thing. In 5 seconds, a voice was on the line. Here is the Sultan of Baghdad speaking, the voice said. Listen, Sultan, the Queen said. Did anything unpleasant happen to your city 3 nights ago? I don't like this part. I feel like this is not fair to people in Baghdad. I don't like this part. Every night unpleasant things are happening in Baghdad, the Sultan said. We are chopping off people's heads like you are chopping parsley. I've never chopped parsley in my life, the Queen said. I want to know if anyone has disappeared recently in Baghdad. Only my uncle, Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the Sultan said. He disappeared from his bed 3 nights ago together with his wife and 10 children. There you is, cried the BFG, whose wonderful ears enabled him to hear what the Sultan was saying to the Queen on the telephone. Flesh Lump Ether did that one. He went off to Baghdad and Mom and all the little kittles. The Queen replaced the receiver. That proves it, she said, looking up at the BFG. Your story is apparently quite true. Summon the head of the army and the head of the Air Force immediately. And that is tomorrow.